we go. Students, come in, sir. The house is full today. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೋ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. We'll try to arrange some chairs for you guys. Good morning, everyone. We have all joined us here to celebrate Indian scientific discoveries and innovations as India observes 97 years of discovering Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman and K.S. Krishnan. At B.V. Jagdish Science Center, we celebrate the joy of doing science throughout the year. However, here we are presenting our program for this year's National Science Day, partnering with Bangalore Science Forum and supported by National Education Society of Karnataka. Now, before we start the program, we usually, one of us, we will talk about B.V. Jagdish Science Center. But today we have something special. We have Mr. B.V. Jagdish himself, who is an entrepreneur and a multimillionaire in Silicon Valley. He has sent a video message to all of you, and we would like to play this and start our program. Okay? Can I have some yes? Great. Asif?
Welcome to the B.V. Jagdish Science Center in Jayanagar National College, where science comes to life through hands-on experiences and real-world applications. When Dr. H.N. approached us back in the year 2000 to support this science center at Jayanagar National College, our vision was very, very simple: to empower young minds by connecting classroom learning to practical insights, fostering curiosity and creativity, and equipping students with the skills they need to solve today's challenges and build a brighter, more sustainable future. Here, learning is more than just theory. It's about applying knowledge in exciting, interactive ways. Thanks to the dedicated teachers and passionate volunteers, our students not only gain scientific knowledge, but also understand how it works in the world around us. You turn abstract concepts into real, tangible experiences. Through our workshop, science fairs, and summer camps, students build critical skills like problem solving, teamwork, creative thinking, all while gaining practical experiences in areas like technology, space, agriculture, sanitation, manufacturing, and many other areas. These experiences are not just about understanding science. They're about seeing how it shapes the world. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all the participants, teachers, and volunteers for your unwavering dedication. Your involvement is helping shape the problem solvers and innovators of tomorrow. Let's continue to push boundaries and take this B.V. Jagdish Science Center to even greater heights, inspiring more young minds and creating a lasting impact together. Look forward to seeing you all when I'm there next time. Thank you.
Well, that was Mr. B.V. Jagdish, who has immensely funded to build a science center in Jayanagar National College. And now, with this message, I would like all the dignitaries. I would like the principals to accompany the dignitaries on the dais. Please keep the applause rolling. Jayadevappa sir, please. Sucharita ma'am, please. Bunny sir, it's okay. Please come. Bunny sir, it's okay. Cheluvappa sir, vice principals, please Bunny. Please come. It's okay. Please come, sir. Cheluvappa sir. Thank you. Shall we have the back door closed, please? Yes. Now, National Education Society of Karnataka, Bangalore Science Forum, and B.V. Jagdish Science Center, along with National College Jayanagar, is presenting National Science Day celebration. The theme of this event is Empowering Indian Youth for Global Leadership in Science and Innovation for Viksit Bharath. I would like to now welcome Dr. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Principal of National College Jayanagar, to welcome the gathering and introduce the guest to us. Yeah, welcome the gathering, please.
A very good morning to dear esteemed guests, faculty members, students, and staff. It is my pleasure to welcome you all on Science Day celebrations. Today, we gather here to commemorate the discovery of the Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman, a pioneering Indian scientist who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. Science Day is an opportunity for us to recognize the importance of science and technology in our daily lives. It's a day to acknowledge the contributions of scientists and researchers who have dedicated their lives to advance our understanding of the world. Through various events and activities planned for today with a focal theme, Empowering Indian Youth for Global Leadership in Science and Innovation for Viksit Bharath, we believe that our young minds have the potential to shape the future of our nation and the world. First of all, I extend a special welcome to the keynote speaker of the day, Professor Shrikant Shastri from Theoretical Science Unit, JNCASR. I cordially welcome today's guest speakers, Dr. Dayananda Prithviraja, Professor and Head of the Department of IT, and Dr. Vishnu Srinivasamurthy, Associate Professor from the Department of IT, Manipal Institute of Technology, Bangalore. They are going to share their expertise and experiences with us. I am confident that their talks will be very informative, engaging, and thought-provoking. I extend a warm welcome to the principal of Dr. H.N. National College of Engineering, Dr. Jayadevappa, and the principal of National PU College. Okay, Professor. My heartfelt welcome to Professor Cheluvappa, College Council Secretary of National College Jayanagar, and Dr. Nandish, Vice Principal of Dr. H.N. National College of Engineering. I am delighted to welcome Professor Sucharita Chandra, Honorary Secretary of Bangalore Science Forum, National College, Basavannagudi. I am glad to welcome Professor Altaf, Scientific Officer of B.V. Jagdish Science Center, who has a pivotal role in making today's event happen. To our students, I encourage you to participate actively in the events and the activities planned for today. Ask questions, engage in discussions, and explore the wonders of science. I welcome you all. Thank you all for joining us on this special day. Let us celebrate the spirit of scientific inquiry and discovery. Hearty welcome to all the teachers who joined us today on this momentous occasion. Let us celebrate the wonders of science and its impact on our daily lives. Let us empower our youth to become the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you one and all for joining us on this special day. Happy National Science Day.
On behalf of all the staff, I would heartily welcome Dr. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Principal of National Degree College, without whose support this event would not have been possible. Thank you for being here, ma'am. I now request Professor Sucharita Chandra M. ma'am to introduce the guests for today.
Namaste. My respects to dignitaries on the dais. It's my privilege to introduce esteemed academicians whose contributions have significantly advanced their respective fields. Dr. Shrikant Shastri is a professor at the Theoretical Sciences Unit, JNCA SR, Bengaluru. He holds degrees from National College, IIT Bombay, and Boston University, USA, with postdoctoral research at NIH and Princeton University, USA. He joined JNCASR in 1998 and was a professor at TIFR Hyderabad till 2014. His research is statistical mechanics, focuses on liquids and soft condensed matter, including glass transition, jamming, and mechanical properties of glasses. He has received numerous honors, including the Gauss Professorship in 2024, APS Fellowship in 2022, J.C. Bose Fellowship in 2015, and the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Fellowship in 2022. In 2008. He is a fellow of India's leading science academies. It's an honor for us to have Dr. Shastri, alumni of National College, over here today, sir. Dr. Vishnu Srinivasamurthy is an associate professor in the Department of Information and Communication Technology at the Manipal Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. With a PhD from NITK Surathkal, his expertise lies in music signal processing, IoT, speech signal processing, and machine learning. He has an impressive publication record, including papers in high-impact journals such as ACM Computing Surveys and Elsewhere Expert Systems with applications. Additionally, he has published patents, edited books, and delivered numerous guest lectures on emerging technologies. It is a pleasure to have you here in this occasion, sir. Dr. Dayananda Prithviraj is a senior IEEE member and professor serving as the head of the Information Technology Department at Manipal Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. With a strong background in computer science and engineering, his research interests include image processing, information retrieval, machine learning, and deep learning applications. He has contributed significantly to research through numerous publications, research grants, and consultancy projects. We are honored to have them here with us today and look forward to their valuable insights. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, without further ado, we would like to invite Professor Shrikant Shastri, sir, to deliver the keynote address. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. I request the dignitaries to be seated off the dais. And volunteers, can you please remove these chairs from here?
No, so tell me 30 minutes. 30 minutes you remind me so that I should stop and
Seated.
So, yeah, you should probably sit here. Yeah. Yeah, tell me when I should start, yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay, good morning. Yeah, it's a great pleasure for me to be invited to participate in the National Science Day celebrations at National College. As was already mentioned, I am an alumnus of National College, though not this campus. I studied in Baswangudi, and so therefore as an alumnus, it's a pleasure to be back in participating at the events of the college. I'm also very happy to be speaking at this the B.V. Jagdish Science Center. I look forward to learning more about it, but based on what was said by Mr. Jagdish himself, it seems like a very nice addition to the activities of the National Education Society and National College. Now, we're here to celebrate or to commemorate a particular discovery of great significance, the discovery of the Raman effect. And this has been institutionalized as a National Science Day since 1987, if I remember correctly. And every year, there's a theme that's chosen for the National Science Day. And Sucharita told me what the theme was. And it didn't immediately strike a chord. Not for the general idea behind it, but for the way in which it was worded, okay? And I'll share with you a little later what it was that gave me pause when I heard the title, because I think it's worth thinking about. But after I sort of processed it a little bit, I thought this was certainly a very nice theme, because it brings together three things that should always be at the forefront of our thinking when we talk about what is it that we should be doing. Yeah, certainly as educators and scientists, these are things to think about. And these three strands are the youth, the development of the country, and science and technology. So All these are obvious ideas, but let me just spell it out and tell you how I would like to think about it. I think it's fairly clear that if one were to think about what the future holds for India, it's going to depend entirely on today's youth, today's students, how they are empowered, how they are trained, educated, and the kind of characters and attitudes that they will develop. And the second strand is simply that apart from whatever our individual goals and ambitions are, one must always think of aligning them with the global interest of society and the country. And this should always be a consideration for all of us to be thinking about. And the third strand of this title is science and technology, and implicit in this combination is the idea which we as a society have been quite committed to since independence, that science and technology, science and innovation hold the key to addressing much of what must be done for the well-being of society and the development of the country. Okay? So all of these things are worth always sort of keeping in mind when we think about what is it that we should do. I was talking earlier about Professor Ruddam Narasimha, who was a colleague at JNC ASR, a very distinguished scientist who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And in addition to being a great scientist, he was also quite a bit of a philosophical thinker. And in some conversation, he mentioned an article that he had written, which was entitled The Problem of, I'm not getting the right title right now, but it addressed the question of human action, right? I think if we ask what are the big questions we face in general categories, what we must do is always one of the biggest questions, right? We can ask other questions about, what our eventual goals are, etc. But the question that we always face is what we should do, and then what principles, what ideas help us answer those questions are what we are always out looking for. And so some of these ideas are guides to our actions as we go forward in our lives. Okay? Now, the educational institution, National Education Society, founded as it was during the independence struggle, and which grew in activity and significance to a large extent under the leadership of Professor H. Narasimhaiah, has always pursued these ideas of having sort of the global national welfare, the belief in science and technology being a key to the solutions of the problems and the prospects for the problems that the nation faces and the prospects for the future. And indeed, that the key focus has to be in grooming the youth to develop in a way that they are going to be future leaders. Okay. So why did I have reservations about the wording of this year's theme? I want to say there are two words that I had a little bit of a problem with. One is empower, okay? And the other is leadership. I'll come to that in a moment. So empower is a very funny word, because when you think about somebody who's empowered, you think of somebody who has the ability to do something. So it's, in that sense, an active word. But if you say you want to empower someone, or somebody is being empowered, it has a kind of ironical passive sense, right? That somebody is empowering somebody else, right? And And strictly, it makes sense in a somewhat administrative or bureaucratic context where, you have, for example, empowered committees that do X, Y, Z. So or the principal of the college may empower a student or a student body to run some cultural program or extracurricular program. These are sort of, so a lot of the situations when we use this, we have in mind some external agency that will empower you. So the source of your power is outside, okay? And this is not the sense in which we want to think about this word, right? We want to think about a contrasting situation where somebody has brilliant ideas and quite naturally they come into positions of leadership because of the substance of their ideas, right? So this is now an empowerment that comes from within, okay? And in talking about empowering the youth, of course, in practical terms, there are things that educators can do, there are things that scientists can do, there are things that governments can do, etc. But the ultimate goal is for the youth to become empowered from within, okay? And this is the only road to leadership in science, innovation, in anything else. And we have a traditional, in India we have no shortage of beautiful aphorisms that capture the essence of important ideas, right? So there is one that came to my mind when I was thinking about it, which if anybody knows the origin of, I would like to know, because this is something that I've known for a long time, but I couldn't, maybe somebody in National College told me, but I don't remember where it comes from. But it says, Kriya siddhis sattve bhavati mahatam nopakarane. Okay? So accomplishment of the great comes from their substance, from their character, and not from the tools that they use. Okay? So this is something that I want to sort of hold as a key message when in talking about empowering the youth. This is very much what they should aspire for, and we should do everything possible to enable them to do it and to sort of develop those kinds of ideas and attitudes about whatever it is that they undertake. So the second word has to do with, the second word I had a little bit of an issue is leadership. And there's a very bad habit, and the reason I have a problem with this word is in Indian society we have a very bad habit of thinking of everything as a race, right? And so if somebody is thinking about what kind of education that they should undergo, or parents are thinking about the education of their children, that they sort of see it as a race where you have to come first or second, you have to get the best marks. And nothing wrong with it as a practical consideration, because placements are important and where you get a job is important, but you must not let it become the determinant of how you think about the world, right? Similarly, when we're thinking about society also, and this is one, we think of like India being in a race with other countries. There are other countries that are ahead of the race, we are behind, and we want to get ahead, we want to be leaders, right? We want to be superpowers. But the goal of society, at least this is my opinion, which I humbly place before you, is not to be winning any race with other nations. The goal of any country, any society, is to ensure the contentment and meaningful pursuit of happiness of its members, okay? This is what we all should be aiming for. And so given that this idea of leadership, race, gives the wrong tilt on what our aims have to be. I have some reservations about these words, but understood correctly, there's nothing wrong with them, right? But I thought it was worth spending a few minutes talking about this, because these are things that confuse the youth, right? These are very much things that confuse the youth about why they're doing what they're doing, and we should talk about these things, right? And now, on the other hand, talking briefly about leadership in science and innovation, right? The very nature of scientific discovery or innovation is that if you do it, you are naturally in a leadership position, right? Because scientific discovery is about figuring out something, understand something that nobody had before. Similarly, innovation is to make something that people hadn't done, right? So it is naturally an activity which will give you leadership if you do something meaningful, right? So there's no contradiction. It's just that let's understand what is important, right? And going back to the example of sort of exams and the race and the leadership, the struggle for leadership in that sense, the primary goal of students is to understand, and the primary goals of teachers is to make students understand, help them understand. Now, other practical goals, such as doing well in competitive exams and marks, etc., are not in contradiction. Understanding physics well will naturally lead you to doing well in physics exams. There is no contradiction. It's just that you shouldn't put it upside down in terms of how you think about it. Okay, so how should we think about empowering the youth for leadership in science and innovation, right? Clearly, there are two parts. One is what educators, scientists, society in general can do to ensure that the students are empowered in this correct way of thinking about it for positions of leadership. And the second, which I think is more important, is what is the awareness and attitudes that the youth themselves should aspire to so that they can be future leaders, okay? And I'd like to talk about these a little bit. By the way, today's talk is an experiment. I'm not used to talking about things other than my research. And today I will touch upon what I do a little bit, but only in this broader context of talking about today's theme. Now, before I proceed, when I was talking to a colleague of mine, they said, you shouldn't just make it a dry lecture, you should talk about yourself a little bit. And this, contrary to talking about my work, is a rare opportunity. You don't get to talk about yourself much as a scientist. So let me take a few minutes to talk about my own sort of experience as a young student, but in order to sort of draw some lessons that we can think about, right? So, thank you, very thoughtful of you. This will also be my demo piece. I'll explain later on. What is it, a tray to keep this? I see. I'll manage. So, as it already came up a couple of times, I studied in National High School, actually, and National College, and till my second PUC, I was a rather indifferent student, because the only goal that was placed before me was to do well in exams, and I was not interested. And in terms of other things that were lacking, I also came from a background where I didn't have a very easy access to books. But in a moment, I'll tell you that that was not true, so bear with me. What I really had, in retrospect, an insufficient, I did attend the Bangalore Science Forum lectures, for example, during pre-university. It somehow didn't do anything for me, because the manner in which I attended them was like attending a Shivratri Harikatha. You go, you sit there, somebody is saying something, and you listen to it. It wasn't about me, okay? And so the main thing in retrospect that I lacked was somebody who would sort of talk to me, try to understand what my innate tendencies and interests were, and engage me, and tell me what would be interesting to do. Not to tell me facts about the universe, but to tell me, this is interesting, why don't you think about it? And this situation actually changed when I met a senior student who was bright, he understood science very well, was also on top of it very articulate and wanted to talk about science. Okay, and he wanted to tell me about how he was thinking about science, and invited me to sort of participate in that process. And one of the key themes of what would be discussed was the connectedness of things, right? How apparently diverse problems you could think about could be sort of reduced to essential questions. So if you can, yesterday I was at ISRO, and I was giving the example of a rocket launch, which sounds like a very complicated thing with rockets and propulsion for fuels, et cetera. But at the heart of it, it's a trajectory problem. It's the quintessential problem of classical mechanics, right? Given initial conditions, given forces that act on a particle, what's the trajectory that it'll take, right? So so this kind of looking at the universal in different problems got me hooked, right? Another example that you would have thought about, you would have been told about, is this famous story of the falling apple and the falling of the moon, right? That must have been the aha moment for Newton, if it happened that way, to say, here are these unsuspectedly similar phenomena happening in such very different contexts, right? So I'm now talking as a physicist. This is how physicists think, right? That we like to find the universal. There are other disciplines which may have different qualities, but what I'm trying to say, emphasize, is this way of thinking was my way of thinking, which was sort of buried somewhere deep. It took somebody to bring it out, right? And this is something that's fundamentally what educators should think about, right? How do you just sort of drag it out of people? Because after this transformation happened, the same Bangalore Science Forum lectures were completely different, right? I was engaged with them, I would ask questions of the speakers. So it suddenly seemed like it was about me, right? In a way it hadn't earlier, right? And I also discovered that National College had a very nice library, which had a very interesting collection of books. And there was a very gentle librarian, Mr. Gadag, if I remember the name. He would tell me about the books. So suddenly the same world was different, right? And so it took something to make me change my perspective from thinking it was not about me to thinking that it was about me, right? And this is something that good teachers know. I think in fact, I had one experience in high school of a history teacher who sort of saw that I was interested in history, and he came one day and gave me a book to read, right? But unfortunately, it was too rare a thing to have happened. So I think this is something that we can do and we should be doing all the time. And going beyond, because a lot of the teachers I'm a teacher in my institute. It takes a lot to just get the lectures ready and give the lectures well. And so sometimes you just sort of don't have that extra quantum of energy to sort of engage students individually. But we have to find ways of doing this. The other, so I think this is what we can do, right? But what the students themselves should become aware, and we can help them, is what is the kind of attitude with which they should approach science and approach innovation. And before I go on to that part, one of the other things, looking back in terms of what was missing, till such time that it wasn't missing anymore, but this particular item pretty much was missing all through my education, is the ability to do meaningful experiments and to tinker around, right? Because innovation comes from not only conceiving of possibilities, but trying to sort of play around to see how to make it happen, okay? There's sort of a more complicated subject of implicit knowledge, which I will not get into, but the basic idea is just to sort of, you're trying to sort of do some routine experiment, let's say. A lot of things that you just can't figure out, right? And you have your instruction manual, but it doesn't make any sense. And you sort of try and try and try. Someday you figure it out. And then the next week you come back, you look at the instruction manual, it's perfectly clear, right? Everything is there. And you worry, what was wrong with me? All the things that I needed was there. Why didn't I figure it out the first time, right? But this is a universal phenomenon, right? You will not figure out things without a certain amount of going back and forth and trying, even when somebody tells you, right? So to have that space where you can tinker, where you can experiment in the real sense, is something that, at least in my day, our education system was not doing very well. I hope it's doing better, but certainly if there is a component of that in an associated center like this with a college, which can provide that space, it's one of the most useful things that we can think of doing for students to enable the spirit of discovery, to develop that spirit of discovery by playing around in the dark. Because let's sort of, this is something I want the students to really think about, right? When we think about science, we say, oh, there are all these things that are known, and as students, our job is to find out what's known, right? Absolutely wrong, okay? At least at the level of scientific discovery and innovation, the place that you have to imagine yourself is when you understand nothing. You understand nothing, you have a question, and you will grope your way in the dark, right? So to become comfortable with this process of being in a state of ignorance, but with the belief that you can figure it out, right, is the essence of innovation, is the essence of scientific discovery. And this is something that maybe doesn't come up enough. I've had sort of very accomplished scientists sort of tell me, I feel stupid, I can't figure this out. But they're not unhappy about it. That's the state of being. When you're trying to figure something out, if somebody has already figured it out, what is there for you to do? You can passively imbibe some information, it's good. I mean, it's a necessary step. But discovery and innovation comes after, when you step out of the known, step out of the comfort zones, and step into something where nobody is going to tell you what the answer is, right? So to learn to be comfortable in that state of ignorance, but with the confidence that you have it in you to work it out, is what you need to develop as a student, okay? So, now going more, as educators, this is what we should be trying to sort of somehow work into our training of the students, to say how will we make them both confident, but at the same time be in situations of ignorance where they have to figure things out, right? Now, in terms of what attitudes the students, the youth, should be aiming for, there are a few items, and let me just sort of say it out and then I'll explain it. But altogether, this is sort of what I see as a recipe for self-empowerment. Okay? So the first thing is, if you don't have the passion to know, right? Again, in our tradition, we have this beautiful word called jignasa, which means the desire to know, right? Jignasa, of course, also is used as to connote a process whereby we understand. But if you don't have that jignasa in the first sense of the word, and the curiosity to want to know, right? You can't really be a leader in science and innovation. This is the this is the engine that drives innovation. So you have to find out what is it. Okay, thank you. What is it that you're passionate about, and follow your passion. And but the second thing, which especially in the context of Indian society and environment, one thing that is sort of very essential to be aware of as something that you need to possess is self-belief, right? This is something, to sort of put it in simple-minded terms, when you begin to sort of learn advanced science and advanced technology, you're sort of faced with amazing things, amazing ideas, discoveries, great innovation, and if you want to get into it, right, you can of course say, great minds have done wonderful things and I will follow them, right? But that's not the idea. The idea is that you, within whatever limitations you have, will make a new independent contribution yourself, right? And you need to have that self-belief that I can, right? And that self-belief comes through experience, because nobody suddenly can be very confident that they're going to make great discoveries. I think that process of trying to do things, trying to sort of say, what is it that I am capable of doing, that self-belief is an essential quality. And you need to be focused on the ends. What are the goals that you're going to work towards? And this I sort of say for a couple of different reasons. One sort of universal reason to talk about this is very often and this is an experience, I mean, if each of you will go back and look at what you did the last year, right? And you also sort of try to think about at the beginning of the year, if you're in the habit of making New Year resolutions, what did you tell yourself that you're going to try and do, right? And you make these two lists and you put it next to each other and say, did the list of what I actually spent my time on have anything to do with what I said my goals were? You will very often find that there is no correspondence. You start somewhere, you get distracted, you do something else, or you're under the illusion that whatever you're doing is serving those goals, but at least with the benefit of hindsight, you'll probably figure out that that was not the case, right? So that focus on ends is important. And the other thing that's equally important is the awareness of means. All of us come with certain qualities. We have certain capabilities innately, and certain capabilities that we will develop through effort. But what is it that we are capable of? What is it that is meaningful for us to aim for so that we can make meaningful contributions is something that you all have to develop as an attitude, right? Because not everyone is going to discover general relativity. Not everybody is going to make the transistor. And in fact, it's useful to think Einstein might have been very bad if he had tried to make the transistor, right? So you have to sort of become aware of your means. What is it that you have with which you will aim to make a contribution? Okay, so now I've been reminded about how we are doing on time. So there were several other things that I had in mind to say, but let me just quickly go through them in the next few minutes. You know, one thing that I think we're all faced with in today's society, certainly, unlike what I told you earlier about my own experience of, at least for some part of the time, not having access to books, today everything is accessible, okay? But the problem today is not access, but an overexposure to sources or exposure to sources of information that claim to be your source of knowledge, and you don't know what to choose, right? And there's a lot of news flash kind of science reportage, for example. Like on my phone every day, there are like 3-4 science stories that are suggested to me, and every one of them is heralding a new era, right? Einstein has been proved wrong. Like, how many times do you do this, right? And then you go and read the articles, it says something pretty ordinary, right? So we are exposed to this kind of sensationalization of science reporting as well as other things. So one thing that's very important to understand is, how am I going to sift through all this, right? I'm being bombarded by information and statements about the world, about science. How do I filter this, right? And there's actually a single recipe for this, which is, what matters at the end of the day is not all the stuff that is out there, but what matters is what you understand, right? If you hold on to that one line, right, everything will follow. You know, maybe you'll miss out on some great announcement of some new discovery, but you know, if it's really important, you'll hear about it next week. Okay? So what you have to have the patience for is to say, if there is something that I'm being presented which looks interesting, it's not interesting unless I understand what they're talking about, right? So there's a great line by Feynman, which people quote a lot, which says, what I cannot create, I do not understand, right? But you can also think, I mean, he had a certain thing in mind and I won't discuss it, but you can also put it the other way around and say, what I do not understand, I cannot create. So if we're talking today about innovation and discovery in science, you cannot create that new knowledge, you cannot create that new technology unless you understand. So this has to be a single mantra. And the particular reasons today to emphasize this is, like I already mentioned in different words, we live in an age of distraction, right? There's just, you're bombarded with too much stimulus from the outside. It's often undigested, it's often misleading, it's often just plain irrelevant, and you have to live in this world, right? I didn't have to live in this world because we didn't have TV at home, we didn't have a telephone. If I had books to read, I had something to read, otherwise I had nothing to do, right? This is not the case with the youngsters today. So please, yes, one of the key goals has to be how to deal with distraction and put it at bay, right? The second thing is, there is a tendency, because there is so much out there, right? Including today, I don't have to learn how to write. I don't have to learn how to spell, okay? Outsourcing of knowledge, right? Outsourcing of thinking and doing is a clear and present danger, okay? The tendency to do so is a clear and present danger, and one has to learn how to deal with it, okay? And this is not to say that you don't use the tools. So in the next session, very soon, we're going to talk about, for example, AI. One must have the confidence to use all the tools that one has at one's disposal, but as a master and not as a slave, okay? This has to be clear. Again, there are many opportunities for you to pursue your interests. You have in Bangalore, if you're talking about science and research, in engineering, innovation, there are large number of research institutes. You have the Indian Institute of Science, JNCASR, NCBS, RRI. Your teachers will definitely be able to guide you to any of these. Scientists in those institutes, contrary to your perceptions perhaps, are within the limits of time happy to interact with students, right? And there are research internships, there are internships in industry. There are very nice places like the Jawaharlal Nehru Planetarium, which has programs for interested undergraduates. And you have this new Science Gallery, Bengaluru. How many of you have gone to the Science Gallery? My goodness. Okay, your next plan should be to take a group of these people, okay? They have some very nice programs, and it also does have ambitions of creating the kind of space to play around that I'm talking about. So you should definitely make an effort to take students there. And there are many major initiatives in the country, such as the National Supercomputing Mission, there's a new quantum mission, and there are new plans for addressing public health, etc. There is no shortage of very interesting things that you can engage in. And also, as a scientist, one thing that I am a firm believer in is that everything, if you look and delve deep into, is a fascinating world, okay? But let me mention a few major areas that you could think about, which are important civilizationally, societally. One is climate change and associated things with that of energy, pollution, disease. On the whole, the umbrella of sustainability is a very important thing for all of us to think about. There is sort of this emerging interest in information and artificial intelligence. It's going to be a big factor in our lives, and it presents many opportunities, and one could be looking at that. But in terms of what sort of science and technology do is to sort of create new means of generating wealth and prosperity. But something that we don't talk enough about in this context, kind of a context, is that it's also a source of inequality in society. And even if we are not going to be doing anything that will directly address that, it is important for us to be aware, right? And so let me stop there. I will not say anything about my own work, except I want to tell one last thing about the place of basic science, because when we talk about real problems of society and the economy and so on, most of the time we're talking about technology, and of course technology is what is going to make things happen. But then you might not have an appreciation for what is the role of basic science, right? There are two ways of thinking about basic science. One is the world is fascinating, there are many things that are not understood, we want to understand, right? This is sort of the drive, the curiosity, the jignasa. But as a matter of society and investment of money, you might ask, why would anybody want to spend money on this, right? And there's a very well understood paradigm to answer this. And the basic idea is science explores new frontiers, which then make you think of things that you couldn't think of before. And this will lead to new technology, which will lead to prosperity. Okay? So there's a famous story of Faraday being asked, what good is electricity? And this is apparently Benjamin Disraeli who asked this question. Nobody knows if the story is real, but then Faraday is supposed to have said, I don't know what it will be useful for, but I'm pretty sure that soon you'll be taxing it, right? And with that note, let's think about the role of basic science and innovation, and I thank you for your patience and this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we couldn't have asked for a better keynote address on the theme. You have nicely dissected each word and presented your views. I'm really flattered about it, and especially I couldn't stop making notes of a few things that you said. And this one, I think, I hope this moment comes to any one of the person in the audience. It's not about me. So this National Science Day might not be about you now. So, but this transformation movement, when you start understanding or when you start feeling that it is actually about me, so that's really important, and that's the effort that we are behind as well. And obviously, you have given a new quote that contradicts Richard Feynman, is what I cannot understand, I cannot create. That's a good one. And this point especially of having nothing to do today is really concerning. We cannot be by doing nothing. Okay, and I think with this, you also said about outsourcing of thinking. You hinted towards AI, and I think you have set a nice stage for the next session as well. We have a lot to talk about AI and all the points that you discussed now. And with this, we come to an end of keynote address session. I request all the audience to be seated. And before that, please give a huge round of applause to Professor Shrikant Shastri, sir. We will spend more time with him, but we will allow the staff members to have a coffee break and come back. Thank you. Students, be seated. We have something for you right here. Volunteers? Can you please guide the staff members and our guests to the coffee? Please close the door. Please close the back door. I request all the staff members to join in the boardroom for coffee. Asif, can you come here, please? Door close, man. ಓಕೆ, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಹುಡುಗರ ಎಲ್ಲ BCA BScನಾ? BCom ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಯಾರು BCom ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿ? ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಬಿಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗದೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಡಿಟೋರಿಯಂ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನೂ ತಿನ್ನಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಗಲೀಜು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ ಯಾರು. Okay, can we close this door, please? Yeah, close this door. Yeah. Okay. Okay. BCA ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಓಕೆ, ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಏನು ಹೇಳಿ? ChatGPT ತಾನೆ? ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಆಲ್ಗರಿಥಮ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್, ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ದೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು ಗೈಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್, ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅಬೌಟ್ AI, ಅಬೌಟ್ ಯೂಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ AI, ಒಂದು ಚೀಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಗಿವ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಅಸ್. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಗೈಸ್? ಓಕೆ. ಅಂಜಲಿ, can you call Asif? Asif, YouTube video ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ? ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ? ಯಾವ
ನಾನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ. ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ ನಾವು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಈಗ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೇಕ್ ಅಂತ.
ಅದು ನಿಮ್ದು ಅದೇ ಯಾವುದು?
Hey guys, do we inform your principal? Wait a second, I'll call your vice principal, ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿ. ಓಕೆ? ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಓಕೆ, ಇದೇ ಥರ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಡೇ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು 2016 ವೆನ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್. ನಮ್ಮದೊಂದು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಡೇ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಷನ್. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ ದಿ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಇನ್. This is our national college in 2015. Can you switch off the lights, Asif? And that was me when I was a student.
One question. Do you know what is special on February 28th?
No, what's on February 28th?
Do you know what is special on February 28th?
You don't know? No idea.
No idea. National Science Day ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
No, commerce.
February 28th.
No.
February 28th. No idea. I'm sorry.
Oh!
February 28th. What is special? Hemant endali. And do you know who is C.V. Raman?
I know.
C.V. Raman ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
He's a scientist.
C.V. Raman?
Yeah.
Who was he?
Scientist.
Sir C.V. Raman ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ.
Do you know Sir C.V. Raman? Who was he?
Scientist. Architect.
C.V. Raman ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಸರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು.
ಎಲ್ಲ BCom ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್.
Who was he?
Scientist.
Sir C.V. Raman ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ?
ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಏನದು ಗೊತ್ತು ಸರ್.
Sir?
He was our BCA sir.
Sir, one question. How many people have won Nobel Prize in India? From India?
Nobel laureate within five.
How many scientists from India have been awarded with a Nobel Prize?
9 to
ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನೊಬೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ ಗೆದ್ದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ?
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
ಒಬ್ರು ಯಾರು?
ಶಿವನ್.
It was only one. Sir C.V. Raman itself. It was only one. Sir C.V. Raman. Okay? February 28th. What is special? Sir, what is special on February 28th?
National Science Day.
Good. February 28th, what is special?
It's National Science Day.
Seriously?
National Science Day.
Those are my classmates.
National Science Day.
ಯಾ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಫ್ಲ್ಯಾಶ್ ಮಾಬ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಂ ಸರ್ವತ್ರ ಸರ್ವೇಭ್ಯಃ. Science for all.
Science for all.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ.
Science for all.
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 Science for everyone.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all. Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all. Good luck.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all. Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all. Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
Science for all.
ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ.
Science for all. Science for all. Science for all. Science for all. Have a good luck. Science for all.
This is science for all.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are the things that we used to do in science club. So it's time for panel discussion now. And okay, we got 3 questions. ಇನ್ನು questions ಬರೋದಿದ್ರೆ panel discussionಗೆ we can still take it. Asif, can we have mics set up, please? Okay. Now we have joined here for our next session, that is panel discussion. And the topic is preparing for an artificial intelligence powered future. And to chair this session, we have again Professor Shrikant Shastri sir. Sir, can I have you on the dais? Can we have a huge round of applause? And we have our panelists, Dr. Vishnu Srinivas Murthy sir and Dr. Dayanand Prithviraju sir from MIT. Please come over, sir. So the panel discussion will be for 35 minutes. We have already collected a few questions from the audience, and the brief and the format of the panel discussion will be taken care by Shastri sir. Sir, over to you. Hello. Hello.
So, welcome again. And so we're going to now have a panel discussion with Dr. Dayananda and Dr. Vishnu Srinivas Murthy. I will request them each to speak for about 5 to 6 minutes. And, but just to sort of set the stage, right? We all are hearing today about artificial intelligence as a technology that's going to do a lot of things. But if you go back and look at the history of AI, right, it was an area of research which was sort of aimed at one level at understanding how the human brain works, right, how intelligence works, was sort of a primary interest in the development of this field. And of course, one line of work, or a significant line of work, came from computer scientists who also thought that eventually artificial intelligence would be a way of doing computing, right? And computing is something that over the last 3/4 of a century has developed to be a major technology that does a lot of things for us in society, and it is also a technology that becomes important when information becomes important. And so now we have this combination of computation, the predominance of information as a currency of modern life, and artificial intelligence therefore promises to be a way of handling large amounts of information and analyzing it in an intelligent way that will spare us of human intervention in doing many things. But it's also like a lot of new technologies, you know, it comes with both great promise and great potential. I'm sorry, great concerns. And the promises and the concerns I would like both of you to address. There is sort of a very, there are two sort of major concerns people worry about. One is a relatively simple idea that AI is going to put a lot of people out of a job, right? And the second is something that's a little bit more sinister, which is this idea of AI taking over. Okay, I will not say more. You've heard about these. And one small side note I want to add before I hand the mic over to you is, you know, AI in the way it's being used, it turns out also has a parallel strand of intellectual development that came from the field that I work in, which is looking at glassy systems, in particular ideas that were developed in the study of something called spin glasses was the basis on which John Hopfield built something that we now call the Hopfield network, which is sort of the precursor to a lot of the AI that we do. So this year's Nobel Prize was given to John Hopfield in half, and the second half was to Hinton, who is credited with a lot of major developments in the science of AI. So I will not take further time, but may I invite you, Dr. Dayananda, to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. I first of all thank the organizing committee. I think this is a chance which I'm getting introduced to myself, and I should thank Dr. Jaidevappa sir, the principal of this institute, for inviting me at your campus to interact with all of you. And with this note, I think to make our discussion interesting, so how many have you seen Zero Day Attack in Netflix, a series which was recently launched? So I think many of the students will be interested in watching the series in Netflix as well as to see some movies. Correct, right? Even when I was a student, I was very interested to spend some time, get relaxed, to have such kinds of movies. So have you seen the Zero Day Attack, a series which was recently launched in Netflix? So how many? Can you raise the hands? Okay, one I can see. Okay. So why I was asking this question was, there is something like a cyber attack which was done using AI. So it's just a 1 minute glitch which has happened, took off all the control of the system for 1 minute, including airborne, the one with metro connectivity, productions, even with the cell phones. So with 1 minute of a delay which has took the control, which they didn't had the information, everything was crashed. There were thousands, life was gone. And sir was asking, was the AI was really reliable? Can we have over? The answer is yes, it makes our life easy, but not to a complete extent of removing an human capability which the intervention is required. Definitely, I would say that it is required to extensively to make our life easy. And I think there was one more movie, I don't know, Eagle Eye. So I think many might have seen, it's a old movie, pretty old movie, which takes out the control of completely. And also I think in Canada, the elections was lost due to deep fake, meant to say using those technology, the election was lost by the contestant. So this is something like which has happened really thing. This is something like a disaster which should not, would have been used such technology for this. And I think everybody knows this. For a hard computing, the GPUs are really required. One is majorly when we say on AI. So majorly the AI is something like video analytics comes into picture. So I think one example is you sit in the class, teacher should not take any of the attendance, it should record automatically itself, you will go out of the class, then the recordings of the class as well as the attendance which has been taken care of the system should have in place. So such applications are really welcome, but other than this, if something which is really misused in the other sense, it is not acceptable. That is first thing. And also ethics in AI is something like majorly everybody should look into it. I think, so most of them here as a student, you would have used ChatGPT, correct, right? If I'm not wrong, for some other thing. But when to use, when not to use, something like even a premium institution, something like Mahe, Manipal, where I belongs to, or it might be from IASC, they have already given some regulations to use, when to use AI. ChatGPT, it's all about AI, everybody knows it. You put in something, you'll get it. But when should I use something like, say for example, one was with a good skill set will study hard and perform an assessment. When to say they'll give the test and they'll score something like 60 to 70%. And one who uses ChatGPT, if he gets 80%, do you think it's a fair? No, right? It should not be. But in case of producing your reports to someone else who is going through it in a proper acceptable template, when you use ChatGPT, yes, it is acceptable. Those kinds of regulation to be inculcated whenever it is being given across. But when should not be used? Something like an assessment, something like which is not at your own capability, where real evaluation will happen on you. So such things should get, it should not be used. So every institution or every industry, whenever they say, so they should be very much careful when to use, when not to use. That makes life easy. Even as a students, as a faculty, as a employee of certain organization. So it will be a clear-cut idea when to use, when not to use. Because as we know, it makes our life easy. Either if you want to get some code, it's ready. If you want to prepare some PPT for this presentation, it will make your life easy. It will give you a presentation on a topic. And if you want to formulate a problem statement based on something, it gives you. But you can't, at the end, can you trust what has been given for? Yes. Again, an human intervention is really required. And when to use, when not to use. And I think later intervention, why I was saying is, you have, whenever I say video analytics, there are a lot of Indian models, there are a lot of models which is developed by China, US. So where I think latest buzzword is deep seek. So the deep seek is something like which makes the computation itself is less complex as well as less cost involved into it. I think everybody knows GPU is meant for making those computation make our life easy, and train the model, just give the results in a much lesser time to make our life easy. But DeepSeek is something like a technology I think everybody might have seen in your WhatsApp, in your other social media. So DeepSeek is something like which says GPU it's not required, and the cost of computation has brought down very predominantly less. So which is really one who is want to use GPU, it avoids it, and it gets in your normal workstations where the results can be expected. So that makes our life easy, but not to other extent. But a lot of industry has lost their market. Only the reason is due to this technology which has been come. So DeepSeek R1 has come, R2 has come, even R3 has released very recently. So what I mean to say is, see, the evolution of technology on AI, it's happening so fast, even one can't think. And I think, I don't know how many have read one article. So using ChatGPT, someone's personal identity of insurance was retrieved without a hardcore security into it. That means to say security, whatever you have developed through the system, it can hack. And now I think sir was saying the quantum comes into picture. I think the lot of facility which was built and a lot of courses which is made available. I think one to quote, I think this can be a takeaway from our discussion. IBM as a skill build platform, I don't know how many have gone through it. There are a lot of AI course, there are a lot of course which comes free of cost for the students. They can acquire, they can link to your LinkedIn saying that you have completed. That will add to your resume. And the technology can be easily learnt. That's what I mean to say. And also Swayam Plus is a platform for all. Earlier, I think Swayam is something like a platform by MHRD, and it was costing around 1,000 rupees for a course to take for grading. But now it has made life easy. Even for 12 rupees you have a course, 10 rupees you have a course, 15 rupees you have a course, 1,000 rupees you have a course. So something like this kinds of facility where the student should have, and that gives you a fair idea when this technology need to be implemented. Because you have a lot of architectures when it comes to a deep learning. So so AI is something like as a broad thing, ML comes into a subset of that which you can think of, then deep learning comes into picture. So overall it's all about AI, so which we are discussing about. I think to leave a note, I think I always says you should be very conscious whenever you are trying to use AI, whether it is required or not. If it is required, what extent it should be used, when to use, when not to use. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. So I'd like Dr. Vishnu to continue with his remarks, but let me make a request that perhaps at a very broad level, you can say what is the idea of AI, and then to sort of talk about, because I think you sort of talked about it from the perspective of somebody using AI, industry or individuals, and you talked about the issues that are associated with that. But just, how does it work is probably something that you can say a little bit about before you continue with whatever else you had in mind, okay?
Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon. Fine. Myself, Dr. Vishnu. I'm working as Associate Professor at Manipal Institute of Technology. So, sir and me are working together. He's our HOD. And first of all, I would like to thank the management of HN National College of Engineering for inviting us for this panel discussion to discuss about what AI is doing. I would like to thank Dr. Jayadeva Upasa, Principal, National College of Engineering, and I would like to thank Professor Shastri sir, who has given insights on various aspects of empowerment and jijnasa. That means enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. So I would like to discuss in detail about what sir has given some few topics. One thing is how AI is that means useful for us. Let me take an example. Previously, if I want to book any airline ticket, so I had to go to a particular. So initial days, what people used to do is they used to call some agent. They used to tell that I wanted to travel from this place to from source to destination, and they used to book the tickets. Later on, we had seen some websites. Okay, some GoIB or Make My Trip. So what we can do is we can book tickets by ourselves. Now, recently you might have seen AI-based ticket booking. So if you plan way to travel, so then automatically it will take up to the payment. Just you have to confirm your payment only. So that level AI has reached now. And let me explain about one more topic that Sir has discussed is, are we losing any, that means jobs because of AI? Does AI takes anyone's job? No, right? Because previously people used to do the jobs of 15 lakhs per annum, people used to say. You might have seen nowadays many reels. I won't see reels, I will see shorts, YouTube shorts. I won't use Instagram. Okay, many shorts you might have seen that says that I'm earning 42 lakhs per annum, 50 lakhs per annum by using AI tools only. AI simplifies the work. Whatever the tools that are existing now, they will simplify the work. They will not take any jobs away. So, in fact, AI needs people who have smart thinking. So previously, if you have some skills, you can join in the particular company by saying that I have these particular skills. During our BTech, our professors used to say that if you know one programming language, one operating system, one database, you will get a job. But now the situation is, we have to compete with AI. Are we really competing is the question now. Are we really competing with AI? How many of you use Instagram, by the way? Can I see some hands? Everyone. Almost everyone, right? So I suggest not to use Instagram at this stage. Because, see, if you are using Instagram and if you suppress your skills, so suppose if any, that means if you start using Instagram, there will be some reels you might be seeing like 10 o'clock you will start and 2 o'clock you will finish. And assignments. Okay, if sir has given assignment, okay, since I have spent my time till 2 o'clock, I have no option. Okay, open ChatGPT, put your question, get the solution and submit it. So what will happen in future is, our ancestors used to say that we came from the that means human has been evolved from monkeys. Soon will become like monkeys. AI will rule the things. See, if you observe, previously, if some headache is there, we used to go to doctor. That no one knows that we have headache and we had gone to doctor. But now, if you go to doctor, at what time you had gone, all the information will be saved. What you are doing from morning to evening. How many of you use Android phones? Have you seen timeline.google.com anytime? Timeline app. If possible, install Timeline app. So it will give the information from morning to evening what you are doing, what places you have visited. All the information you will get. Complete information, what are all the things that you are doing. So what will happen in the sense? It will lead to, that means we are giving complete control to AI. So when I am learning, that means vehicle driving, my uncle used to say that, so vehicle should be in your control, you should not be in control of vehicle. What it says that, if you go in 60 or 80 speed, you can stop the vehicle at any, that means whatever be the situation, you can immediately stop. But if you go in 100 or 120 speed, you will be in control of vehicle. Now the same thing is happening with AI also. If you are completely utilizing the AI tools for every purpose, where you have to learn the things, so you will go with the control of AI. Can I tell one funny example out of it? My regular example, it has been upgraded now. There is one wife and husband, they wanted to make a plan for tour. Okay, so these days AI tools are available. They wanted to, they will say that to ChatGPT or Alexa or Siri, what they will say that, okay, we have 15 days holidays and we wanted to visit these places. Can you plan a proper tour for us? That means they wanted to do the world tour. Then immediately that AI application will say that in your bank accounts, ICICI Bank, you have 3,000 rupees. Okay. And in HDFC Bank, you have some 15,000 rupees. And you wanted to make a tour with your wife. That means you wanted to go out of the country. Assume that it is Bali, which costs you around 5 lakhs. Okay. So how you can travel? Then this person will say that, use Alexa, use my credit cards, and with that credit cards I'll travel. Already you have not paid the bill for past 2 months. Okay, your credit cards are in a completely blocked state. Okay, and your credit score also reduced because of it. Okay, and you had suppose if you want to take your PF, entire PF has been utilized for some or the other purpose. So instead of going to Bali and visit all those places, go to Goa. So see, these kind of things you can see in future. Previously, if I want to listen any song, I used to keep CD, and or otherwise I used to open the folder and I used to select songs. But now, hey Siri, play this song. And it will ask, do you want to make it as a smart shuffle? Yes, make it as a smart shuffle. So previously, if you want to switch on fan, go and switch on. Now, turn on fan. Based on the outside temperature, it will identify what is what should be the room temperature, and it will set. So you might have seen smart ACs. If you are not switched on any AC, you can turn it off from office also. Smart security. If you want to enter, if anyone is entering, recently I had seen when I am traveling in the BMTC, that means bus, beside me one person is there. He is continuously watching the phone. I thought he is watching something interesting. I had seen that phone. He is watching his house. Oh, anyone is coming to my house. Yeah. So that means AI can do magics in. That means can do magics, but at a student level, I always suggest you to understand the fundamental knowledge. Please don't outsource your thinking what sir is said and what we are doing now. So your thinking should be enhanced. Then only you can use AI tools.
Whoever is speaking should come on.
Yeah.
No, the others should keep it turned down. Okay, so yeah, thank you, thank you both for your remarks. There are actually a lot of questions that have come from the audience. I will read them out, but it might be nice if when I read the question out, the person who asks stands up and sort of indicates at the end of the answer whether you're satisfied. Okay, so let me, I'll just sort of go one each, but if the other person is more appropriate, you guys figure out, okay? Okay, so the first question is, can AI develop, I mean, I'll read it, yeah, the brain as a human. Would you like to take that?
Yeah, it can mimic as an human, but not exactly. That's what I just quoted. I don't know how many have observed by booking your flights in Make My Trip, or it might be any platform as such. So what I was trying to say is it catches exactly what you thinks. The indication is, say for example, I wanted to book my flight from here to Dubai. I'll just see a page, a quote will be given, and immediately if you refresh a page, after a minute or so, the price will be changed. I don't know how many have observed it. That means to say the intensity of yours will be easily understood by your web browser of an application what is being used for. Will change it because it knows that definitely you will book it. And it will keep on, whenever you try to do the same operation, it will keep on increasing. And whenever you are booking in the weekends, it increases much more than what has been expected. When you book at weekdays, there is a difference. I don't know how many have observed this. This is what exactly what sir was trying to ask. There is something on a limitation where it mimics as a human, thinking that what was probably it would have thought for, but it can't replace a human. Yeah. Thank you,
Can I
sir.
add something to it, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, if you are holding a mobile or any electronic device with you, so make sure that it is listening you, even if you are not opening any application. So Google, if you sign into Google means it is listening you. One recent observation that we had seen is, we thought of developing an application where it controls the speed of the vehicle. That means if signboard speed is somewhere around 40 kilometers, if you're crossing the above 40 kilometers, then it should give a sign that you are going over speed. So, but after 10 days, I had discussed with the students, after 10 days when I'm traveling in my car, when I set that map, I had seen the same kind of application in Google Maps. So Google is listening. We cannot speak anything. Previously, people used to say that walls have ears. My grandpa used to say that walls will be having ears. Don't speak anything if you have something in your mind. But now, if you have something in your mind, if you speak, your mobile phone is listening, or your device is listening.
So we have several questions, so maybe I'll read a couple of them at a time.
Sure.
And let's sort of give not too long answers so that we get through all the questions. So the second question says, which is kind of an extension of the current one, can it have its own unique ideas, logical thinking, without relying on existing data? That's number one. The second is, can it surpass the human race in the future? So both questions together.
Okay. So how many agrees there is a requirement of data which for an AI? Or can I think over without any data at all? No, without data definitely it is not. Data is required. Based on the past history of data, one can make a decision over that. So it's data is really essential. Without data, nothing can happen. AI can't work without data. So this is for sure. The model what has been used for AI, any model, the essential is the data. The quantity of data comes into picture, then type of data comes into picture, then accordingly the model will be chosen and it will be taken out. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Yes, whatever the models that have been designed, that OpenAI, ChatGPT and all, based on, they are LLM models, all are based on data only. What sir said is. And second, the next one is, does it surpasses human beings? So, yeah, definitely if you are using all these kind of OpenAI without knowing the ground truth. A simple answer.
Super.
Do you agree with that answer?
Yeah, definitely. See, that's how the ethics of AI comes into picture. So whenever you don't have a rule, definitely it bypasses. One, it can rule. So there is an intervention of whatever you code. There should be a limit onto it. When to stop it. So that's really required. I totally agree with that, sir.
Okay, I would like to sort of place a dissenting note because I think the question is not well posed. Because when you say can AI surpass the human race, we are asking this question assuming that we know something about what the human race is capable of doing, and we know, and we're also assuming the limits of what AI is capable of doing, and we don't actually know either of these. Okay, so I think the question is a little bit ill-posed as a general question, but one could sort of ask the question about specific things, and there certainly there are no shortage of examples where AI can indeed do better than humans, right? I mean, you heard about all the AlphaGo and other examples where AI can do better than the humans. And also this year's other Nobel Prize for AI was for solving something called the protein folding problem, right? And this is something that, it's an interesting example because when I was a postdoc at NIH, the National Institutes of Health, this problem has been around for a long time and people were trying to solve it. And the protein folding problem is basically, if I have a protein which is given by a sequence of amino acids, it folds into a three-dimensional structure, and can I predict that three-dimensional structure? Okay, sounds simple, but it's not. And there were a lot of biomathematicians, you might call them, who were trying to sort of use information about folded proteins that we had the structure of in order to predict the new structures, which at that time I thought, this is not predicting anything. You're trying to just copy what, it's sort of like if I ask you to solve a mathematics problem and you say, show me 5 other examples and then I'll try to imitate. So I thought this is sort of not a very smart way to go about it. But in the end, this is sort of what is now, I guess we will call it a bioinformatic approach to solving the folding problem, which had limited success, right? And certainly, so these were methods that were devised by humans. And now, the AI algorithms that have been deployed have done better, okay? And so the folding problem as a practical problem has to a large extent been solved. So there are examples, therefore, of AI doing better than humans, but in general, you don't know what that question means, right? So one should be careful about answering.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, AI can do better in terms of speed only, sir. So because humans can perform the tasks with some limitations. That means the speed of the calculation. Suppose if I given 1, 2, 3, 4 into 1, 2, 3, 4, we will take little time. Because of electrons involved in that machine, so they can perform better way in terms of speed. And similarly, whenever we have seen any image processing, so human can capture images if there is a certain gap between the image to image that we can process it. But machines can process even though there is a high speed of translation from image to image. And the signal also, some frequency, humans can hear up to 20 kilohertz only. But machine can capture the intrinsic properties of signal, that means frequencies also. That's why AI can do better, I think.
No, definitely. I just like to add something. See, when it comes to CT scan images, I think everybody knows that it is not only one image which gets out of it. It will be around 400 to 500 images which comes one CT scan. So analysis by an human definitely takes time. But when it comes to AI, definitely the once the model is trained, whether it is there is might be a prone to cancer or not prone to cancer. So the AI can take a decision in a minutes instead of hours. So definitely there is time which is really involved, and it's helpful for greater community as in terms of health. Even in terms of genome data, whenever a gene data is collected, it will be in terms of GBs. I think everybody know what is GB, what is MB. If a single person data is a GB of data, the analysis either it is a sequence. When I say genome data, ACGT format comes into picture, a lot of sequence comes in a single data. The analysis will be difficult. It's a time consuming. But when it comes to large learning model in terms of text, because gene data will be in text, when it goes to AI, definitely it takes less time for a prediction. So this is something like really helpful for a community as extent. But also the other part is, as security is concerned, we should have a limitation and ethics on AI. Thank you.
Yes, sir. For example, let us say I have used Newton-Raphson method to solve the cubic equation. Of course, we have algorithm and we are writing in Fortran program because I have used only Fortran program, not other methods. But in comparison with that Fortran method to solve the cubic equation, how this, what is that called, AI will help us?
So hold the thought. Let me just, yeah, I'll just read the rest of the questions out and you can answer together. If that question you remember, because that's not in front of us, but the other ones are. Okay. So, okay, so I'll just read out the other questions that have been asked. You can get a general sense of it and maybe answer it. Okay, so one question says, how can we believe that AI is unbiased or transparent? This is concerned about, I guess, the question of privacy. The other question is, how AI can change the work, nature, and skill of human being? Okay. Another question says, how can it impact on human knowledge, positive or negative? And then we have, should we set some rules and regulations to use AI? Can we define God from the perspective of AI? Okay. So I guess broadly the questions are concerned about whether the use of AI will be positive or negative, how will it change the nature of our work, is it biased or unbiased, should we be regulating AI, and can we understand something about God from the perspective of AI, but concretely Newton-Raphson to start with. Okay.
Sir, coming to the Newton-Raphson method, so you had written in Fortran, right? Even if you give it to OpenAI, if you specify some language, it will write in the same language. But the hardware that they are using is different. So previously the hardware is different, and now the hardware they are using GPUs. Because of that, it can give the solution quickly. So it's all hardware dependent, sir, not based on the algorithm that we are writing. The
Yeah.
AI also will generate the same question. Sorry, AI also will generate the same algorithm.
Thank you, Dr. Vishnu.
Thank
So the questions I think sir was asked, I have a list. How can we believe the AI in unbiased or transparency? This is a concern about the privacy. Yes, definitely we can believe AI, but not to 100% extent. But the human intervention is required. I'm just repeating my answer. I think security in AI is one of the hot topics now. Whoever is working on cyber security, this is one boom area where one faculty or maybe the student looking for a project. And that's a concern. Yes, definitely there is a concern, we should address it. And second thing is how AI can change the work nature and skill of human being. Definitely it makes our life easy. Just I gave an example, either it's a genome data or it might be an image data to make a classification or to make a decision, or a predictive analytics which we can need to have a prediction of some thing on existing data. Definitely AI help us. There is nothing more into it that helps us to improve the nature of work. How can an impact on human knowledge either positive or negative? Definitely it is on to the positive note, but when there is a security is concerned, then it comes to a negative. Definitely a rule or ethics on AI comes into picture. Should we set some rules? Yes, we should. And regulation to use AI? Yes, that's what we told. Lot of organizations, something like IASC, MAHAI, everybody sets a rules for faculty and students on to the ethics of using AI. Basically a chat GPT kind of thing. When to use, when not to use. Definitely it is required for an education institute or it might be an organization. Thank you. That's the closing remark. Thank you, sir.
I would like to answer the last question. Can you define God from the perspective of AI? So I can decide when AI can rule the nature. If AI can rule the nature, the answer can be given. See, recently you might have seen the New Jersey situation. They are completely to the level of recent AI techniques. That means they are in the entire city, they are having advanced technologies and all those things. But you might have seen the horrible situation they have faced. Correct, right? So God's perspective is completely from nature and cosmic energy, is what my thinking is. So AI cannot define the God.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Dr. Dayanand and Dr. Vishnu, for answering all these questions and also sharing your thoughts. I hope some things became clear. Many things may still not be.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah. But
Definitely, AI is not a threat. I'm not just looking at AI as a threat, but I am looking at the opportunities that it offers. Definitely, I agree with that. But one thing concerns me the most as a language teacher is whenever we give any topic for the students to write an assignment or to write a report about anything, the first thing they do is just browsing or taking the help of internet, and they just come out with all those. Every assignment would be the same. And where is creativity going? What about the values? And already I think in Bangalore there is a school named Indus International School where robotic teaching is done. And we have created all this machine learning, artificial intelligence and all, and it is taking control over the humans, I feel. It's very ironical. What is your explanation for this, sir?
That sir has explained the same thing in keynote address, ma'am. So empowerment will comes from the characters that they have built up.
I think one other solution is just give an open-end question, open book kind of question. Definitely, I think that may not be available at the internet source or anything. That's really a human intervention is required to solve it. I think open book question is something like an assessment which you can plan. Instead of, the complexity may be more, definitely give, but an higher extent of time to solve it. So that's how the university even plans. We don't restrict for assessment. We give an open-ended question. We give a time for solving it. The same question may not be for each student. I know that there are a lot number of students. You can make a set of students, just give an open-ended question which really require their intervention to solve it. It doesn't come through an internet. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to add only one more word from the medical world. We have seen, as somebody said, CT or MRI and all. But as the logistic, I'm trying to tell you, as you, madam said, it opens the window more. It creates more of innovation. It creates more of assignment to us to assess. It's a beautiful picture, as I said, because we are done every day looking into the operation point of it as a surgeon. When you sit, I have no options, but the AI has given a new window. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So I would like to close this session by saying there are several different opinions and thoughts that have been expressed. One thing is clear. We all need to learn more and think more about what AI means, because it is very much there to stay. So I would like to invite all the students to spend more time to understand what it is all about, and what views you need to have about it. Educate yourself and think about it. One small clarification is when you talk about regulation, it's not just about regulations at institutes and colleges. It's really education regulation is needed at all levels, right? So this is happening at the level of governments, regulating industry, regulating businesses, all the way down. It's not just about worrying about how students are doing their assignments. So it's a very, very big issue. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so thank you all. I think we should.
Thank you, Shrikant sir. Thank you so much. And I'll just end with a quote. If you can't fly, then run. So if you can't run, then walk. So if you can't walk, then travel. So whatever you do, just keep moving. This is Martin Luther words. It's not my words. So when you keep trying the things, definitely you'll achieve one day. It's not immediately. Definitely everybody should start doing the things across. Thank you. Thank you, Shrikant sir. And I should thank our Dr. Jayadevappa sir to giving us an opportunity to interact with all a wonderful audience here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Check. Well, it was a wonderful session, a very thought-provoking one, especially when you have a stalwart like Shrikant Shastri sir himself moderating the session. Thank you so much for agreeing for this as well. Now we have come to our valedictory session. Volunteers, can we have all the chairs here? Yeah. I now request our principal to bring in our secretary sir and Jayadevappa sir also on stage, please. Sucharita ma'am, please. Yeah. Great, the stage is set. So without further ado, I would like to call upon our secretary sir, Sri Venkateswara Reddy sir, to give a brief remarks about his view on our science activities and the National Science Day. And let's see what he has to say. Sir, over to you, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ HN ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಮತ್ತು ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಏರ್ಪಡಿಸಿರೋ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಡೇ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ದಿವಸದ ಚೀಫ್ ಗೆಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿರುವ ಶ್ರೀಕಾಂತ್ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಅವರೇ ಹಾಗೂ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ದಯಾನಂದ ಪೃಥ್ವಿರಾಜ್ ಅವರೇ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ ಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರೇ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಯದೇವಪ್ಪ ಅವರೇ, ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ವಿಜಯಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಅವರೇ, ಹಾಗೂ ಉಪಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ಶೆಲ್ವಪ್ಪನವರೇ ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ವೈಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರವರೇ, ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ತಾವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಡೇನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಲಂಕಷವಾಗಿ ಈಗ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಳಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಟುಡೇ, good afternoon to everyone. It is an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate National Science Day, a day dedicated to the spirit and scientific inquiry and innovation. This occasion reminds us of the invaluable contribution of the Indian scientists, particularly Sir C.V. Raman, whose discovery of the Raman effect transformed the world of physics. One such physics and great educationist that NES institutions is blessed to have was our own Dr. H. Narasimhaya. He started new institution under the NES dedicated to the learning and celebrating the science outside the classrooms. These institutions are Bangalore Science Forum, which was started in 1962, and BVJ Jagdish Science Center in Jayanagar. Today, the organizations are being prioritized, boosted and supported by our management team. I am happy to share that our management team has always been enthusiastic in conducting science events. Our flagship programs in the National College Jayanagar and Basungudi are Science in Action and NS Supernova. The National Science Day celebrations, Science Forum lectures and many more. Not only in BVJ Jagdish Science Center and Science Forum, our NES management has organized Science Day celebration in all the 17 institutions at this occasion. I also want to mention about our ventures in Mega Science Center in Vasu and Gauribidnu. Our theme today, empowering Indian youth for a global leadership in science and innovation for Viksit Bharath, resonates deeply with the mission of the National Education Society. Science and technology are the driving forces of the progress. And it is our responsibility to nurture young minds, encourage curiosity, and foster the cultural and research and innovation. We are privileged to have eminent speakers with us today, including Professor Srikant Shastri, who will be enlightening us with the keynote address, and our esteemed panelists, who will discuss the role of artificial intelligence in shaping our future. Their insights will surely inspire the next generation of scientists and technologists. At this occasion, I want to take assurance from our Dr. H.N. National College of Engineering and Computer Science Department of National Degree College will bring new courses and programs dedicated to the artificial intelligence and machine learning. As educators, the institutions and society at large we must continue to support scientific research, critical thinking and innovation. The students sitting here today are the future leaders of the science and technology, and it is their hands that the vision of Viksit Bharath, a developed and self-reliant India, will become a reality. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to BVJ Jagdish Science Center, our distinguished guests, faculty members and students for making this event possible. Let us celebrate science not just today but every day by embracing knowledge, questioning the unknown and working towards the better of future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that encouraging words, sir. You have always been encouraging in conducting science-related activities in almost all the institutions of NES. And now it's time to felicitate our speakers for today. I request Secretary Sir and the principals to felicitate, first of all, Professor Shrikant Shastri Sir. Can we have a chair here? And Sir, can you please occupy the chair? Can we have some applause, please? Hey. Thank you, sir. Now, can we have Dr. Vishnu Srinivasa Murthy, sir, to be felicitated? Well, first, Dayanand Prithviraj, sir, Professor and Head of Department in Department of IT, Manipal Institute of Technology, Mahe. Tomani. Thank you so much for coming all the way and discussing your subject interests and throwing some light on AI. Now, can we have Dr. Vishnu Srinivas Murthy, sir? Anaga? Take. Get one more. Can we keep the applause rolling, please? Well, we have come to the end of today's session, and what a session this was. A grand celebration of National Science Day, and as our Secretary Sir said, that this should not be a celebration for one day, but it should be 365 days round the clock. Let's enjoy learning science and by doing it. And at the outset, I would like to thank Sri Venkat Shiva Reddy sir, Secretary of NES, for gracing the occasion. Thank you for being here, sir. Your support means a lot to us. And I would like to thank Professor Shrikant Shastri sir, from Theoretical Science Unit of JNCSR. Thank you for spending your time over here, sir. Thank you to Dr. Dayanand Prithviraj sir, Professor and Head of Department of IT, Manipal Institute of Technology. We would like to have you here once again, sir. And Dr. Vishnu Srinivas Murthy sir, Associate Professor. Thank you so much for your thoughtful insights. Also, our principals, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Principal of Degree College, Professor Mamta in her absentia, and Dr. Jayadeva Pasar, Principal of Dr. HNNCE. Without all your support, none of these programs would have been possible. and Vice Principals of the college, Chelwappa sir, and Vice Principal of HNNC sir. Thank you so much for being here. And also, we have Secretary of Bangalore Science Forum, Professor Sucharita Chandra ma'am. Thank you so much for being here and extending your support in conducting this program. And last but not the least, all the staff members and the students. This program wouldn't have been possible without your interest and need for such programs. Thank you for showing interest, and we'll see you again in more interesting programs. Have a nice day.